This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute, and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
You know the problem with Hollywood is? They make shit. Unbelievable, unremarkable shit.
I was legitimately offended.
You were offended?
I was offended.
I didn't know you could get offended.
I was offended.
This did it.
I was absolutely offended.
They're fucking making shit up, Amin.
Inconsequential detail after inconsequential detail after inconsequential detail.
Bees don't lie.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm holding a mic in my hands, and now I'm talking all alone.
Welcome to Cinephobe, part 2 of the Showgirls edition. I'm Zach Harper, joined by Amin and Mayes. Obviously, Anthony Mayes is producing the show. If you haven't listened or downloaded part 1, we went through the Rotten Tomatoes score, a bit of the background of this movie, who's starring in it, the first half of Showgirls. So make sure you listen to part 1 before you get into this episode, which is part 2. And again, thanks for listening, and make sure you share the new feed with everybody that is following you on social media, all your friends, all your enemies, all those people. Make sure you share it with them. So, Amin,
By the way, you know what I just realized?
What?
In part 1, you warned everybody about some graphic.
Oh, yeah, I should warn.
And we never even got to it. So
no, we didn't.
It's going to happen in this episode.
Yeah. So if you have, if it is very possible that there is a trigger with sexual assault, rape, whatever, in your, if that triggers you. In about 45 minutes, you're going to want to turn this podcast off. But we will,
we'll warn you once.
Yeah, we'll warn you again. But it is a serious warning. Like, there is that stuff, so we don't want you to.
Don't fast forward.
Don't fast forward. And if you made it through part 1 and this far, you're going to want it everything up until that moment. So we are with Nomi reporting for duty at Goddess, right?
Yes.
She's pronouncing Versace Versace.
Elizabeth Berkley's idea.
Yes, it was. That was suggested by Elizabeth Berkley.
Great suggestion. That was excellent suggestion. I wrote Dick Versace. It's a longtime NBA coach and executive whose name is spelled Versace, but was pronounced Versace.
I'm so mad I never made that connection.
But who could ever imagine? And maybe it was done on purpose because Dick Versace was a big deal in the NBA around the mid-'90s.
Yeah.
But who could imagine that the name Dick Versace would fit in so seamlessly into this movie?
It's really quite perfect, yeah. All right, so she's upset about giving information to HR.
Wait, Nomi's upset?
Yes. No, it's shocking. The most emotionally unstable person I've ever seen. In character, it doesn't matter. Apparently, she's from New York, we find out. She says she has no family, that they're all dead, doesn't know her social security number.
Very awkward.
Yeah, very awkward. But also obviously hiding stuff.
But also pre-9/11, so this could have kind of you could be able to get a job without giving a social security number. I know it sounds crazy, but pre-9/11 was a wild time.
In Vegas.
Yeah.
Especially in Vegas. They didn't even want it most of the time. She's learning the dances. She picks them up so quickly. It's that natural talent that James has seen. And then I wrote, it's a real boot camp.
Yeah.
You know, like they're very hard on her. She's got to do that show that night.
One of my favorite moments of the whole movie is Marty, the guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm, just yelling, "Thrust it!"
Yeah, thrust it.
He's slapping her ass as she's thrusting up. He's slapping her ass to like get her to thrust harder.
Thrust it, and then he complains to someone. She's all pelvic thrust.
Right. Very confusing direction.
Also, Gay, the choreographer, who is not to be confused with Gay Marty, but is a woman named Gay, gives her this piece of great advice. Remember, she's a choreographer for Goddess. This girl has presumably lived her whole life dreaming to be a Vegas showgirl in a legitimate show, not like a strip club or whatever. And this is the advice that Gay gives her: get a man and get a job. I was like, wait, what kind of advice is this?
Yeah, she's basically telling her get out.
Yeah.
And she met her dentist boyfriend when she chipped her tooth on a Quaalude.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
That's
how old that was.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there are monkeys loose in the dressing room, and two dancers get into a fight. But here's the note.
Monkey alert equals the most unexpected twist in the story by far.
That was so fucking funny.
Hold on. The only time the actresses complained that they felt uncomfortable during the scenes was with the monkeys, who constantly stared at their bare breasts, according to IMDb.
So good.
Which is funny because there's a scene later on with actual children.
Yes.
In the room as everyone's butt naked. And I was just like, okay.
So the monkeys are in the loose in the dressing room. Two dancers get into a fight over makeup getting touched. I said everybody's unstable here. And then someone makes a cat noise. Someone goes like, "Meow."
Yeah, the cat fight noise.
I laughed really hard at.
Yeah, this rivalry is a major plot point.
Yes, between the black dancer and the cultural appropriation dancer.
Yes.
These are the two rivals.
Her children seemed very old for her.
Yeah, definitely. Well, but it's
that fits.
It's Vegas,
and that fits perfectly. Like, what you mean? The woman who dances with her tits out would quite possibly have children at a young age.
Nomi, a little shy about that first show, ices her nipples before she goes up.
Atta girl. And
then she's fucking up. She's screwing things up. But I wrote, this is like when Willie Beeman had his first action in Any Given Sunday.
Yeah.
You see the potential, but they're just not ready.
Yep.
Molly's so proud. After the show, during the show, we find out that Zach sent a giant bouquet of roses to Nomi. After the show, James is trying to holler because he's been stalking her. And this is where he gives the best apology in history.
I have a problem with pussy. I always have, and I'm always gonna.
And I was just like, yo, how can I respect this man anymore at this point, man?
That's such I have a problem with pussy. I always have, and I'm always gonna. That's like my dad was a coal miner. My grandpa was a coal miner. I'm a coal miner, and my son's gonna be a coal miner someday.
I mean, it's just like, women all the time want men to be honest. How much more honest do you want than that? He's got a problem with pussy. He's got a pussy problem.
Yeah, it's stunning.
It's incurable. I tell you.
It's terminal. There's AIDS everywhere. So the next day, Nomi.
Wait. No, there's more. Because she basically accuses him of but you said all those things about me and da-da-da. It's like, no, I really meant it. Nah, you are a great dancer. Da-da-da. Yeah, but you said that to Penny. And he says, well, it's not like I'm making any money on this. I might as well touch a little pussy. Again, I can't argue with that logic.
I mean, his intentions are known, whether you agree with them or not. He is letting you know what he's after.
Look, I'm just saying, writing dance numbers doesn't pay the bills,
right?
But might get to touch some pussy as a result.
It's I guess so. Next day, Nomi is there to work on the dances. Crystal's there.
Mm-hmm.
She says, what are you doing there? Or what are you doing here? To which Crystal responds, what am I doing here? Some of the finest cocaine in the world, darling.
Yes. Love you, Gina.
They go to lunch instead of working on the dancing.
I don't know what all this stuff is.
I'll order for you.
Don't they have brown rice and vegetables?
Do you like brown rice and vegetables?
Yeah.
You do?
Sort of.
Really?
It's worse than dog food. It is.
I've had dog food.
You have?
Mm-hmm. Long time ago. Doggy chow. Oh, I used to love doggy chow.
I used to love doggy chow too.
What the fuck?
I was confused by that. Like I knew
is it
like
code for something?
They've had hard lives, Zach.
the scene was to illustrate that Crystal Connors also came from similarly hard scrabble background, but now she's this huge star. She makes a lot of money. But like, you know, I've had dog food before, but I just didn't understand why Nomi was just like, yeah, let's go with this. I love that shit too. Also, worth noting, the brown rice and vegetables is a callback to Gay, the choreographer woman, not to be confused with Marty, who is gay, told, like, one of the things she tells her, like, yo, you got to lose weight. You got to, like, basically eat only brown rice and vegetables, right? They order at lunch champagne, and they bring out Crystal. And Crystal reveals that's how she got her name.
Yeah, that's where she got the name from.
The name, because her actual name is like Christy something, whatever. But that's not the funny thing. I wrote, does anyone drink Cristal anymore? Or did Jay-Z effectively kill that shit?
Jay-Z did kill it.
Amazing.
Yeah, because that was the big one forever, right?
That was the champagne.
Yeah.
Like Dom P was kind of like, okay.
It was like, we'll drink it, but we're after Cristal. Yeah.
Cristal was like, I'm fucking doing this shit. It's bigger and better than anyone. And now it's nowhere.
I remember my sister had it in the late 90s. Yeah.
Your sister was balling like that?
Yeah, my sister, my half sister. Yeah.
Oh, now she's your half sister.
Well, I mean, that's right.
Seemed like a strange time to like.
Well, because then I thought you were being familiar, and I didn't want you to think my sister in Australia was one of the Cristal. Yeah, okay.
This scene is important because we learn that Crystal and Nomi are exactly alike, and that Crystal is both simultaneously turned on by Nomi and wants to destroy her.
Yeah. Yes. They talk awkwardly about like having nice tits and.
It's not nice tits. Awkwardly, it's I like nice tits, and I wrote, "Me too, Gina." Just threw that out there.
Then Crystal says they're exactly alike. She calls Nomi a hooker. Says that they both are. I wrote Nomi is upset. Shocker.
Yeah, but but she's trying to tell her like the metaphorically, like we're all whores.
Right. Yeah.
world.
Exactly.
Like,
but Nomi has no sense of nuance. Like
Nomi's so dumb. She thinks that Crystal's actually calling her a whore.
Right.
Like a fucking working. Which, by the way,
although we do find out later that that is a sore spot.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
So then 3 cowboys come up to the table. One of them looks like Stan Lee. I thought that might be a cameo. I couldn't tell. They get autographs from Crystal.
Excelsior.
Now they go to the theater. They're dancing with each other. They almost make out, and then Crystal says, "See, darling, you are a whore." Nomi storms out again. One of the fighting dancers brought her kids. The kids are being a really, really annoying one to see the monkeys, to which the black dancer says, like, she's like, "Can someone get these fucking kids out of here?"
I wrote, this is what I wrote. 1, hardly bring your kid to work environment.
Yeah.
1. 2, the kid was watching mad titties run left and right and can't handle the F word.
Right.
Because the kid
like,
blows it.
Word. And she goes, "Shut the fuck up." And then I wrote, "I know times are tough and daycare is expensive, but this is bad parenting."
Yes, it's terrible.
Nomi gets offered $1,000 to go represent them at a boat show. We find out Crystal recommended it, and Molly warns not to do it. But before she can explain why, Crystal calls her in because she doesn't want it explained. Now she's dancing on a boat at the show. One of the business guys basically offers her up to a businessman from Bangkok, says they're all going to hang out later at his place. Nomi refuses. Yeah, all right. Nomi refuses and storms out because, of course, she did.
She's a real loose cannon.
My God, like it's just after a while. It's just it's the boy who cried I'm storming out. Like, that's all it is.
Showgirls drinking game is drink every time Nomi storms out.
Nomi talks to Zach, and he pulls out a hilarious cell phone. He calls Drew to chew him out. She's impressed by his business talk about slot machines. Drew shows up, gets in trouble, but then once she walks away, we find out he calls him back and is like, what are you doing, you rascal? Like, we find out it was all for show.
Well, also, wait, hold on. He says, if that happens again to anybody, you're going to jump to your conclusion. And I didn't understand that line.
It was a sick burn. You're going to jump to your conclusion.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where it's delivered like a sick burn, but the words didn't actually mean anything.
Again, we skip with an apology.
Isn't it Office Space where the guy gets injured and then he wants to make the jump to your conclusion game?
Jump to conclusion, Matt, yeah.
You know, I had an idea like that once, a long time ago.
Really? What was it, Tom?
Well, all right. It was a jump to conclusions mat. You see, it would be this mat that you would put on the floor and would have different conclusions written on it that you could jump to.
That is the worst idea I've ever heard in my life, Tom. Yes, it's horrible, this idea.
Oh, yeah. The dude, he's in a halo and shit, right?
Yeah.
Also, what's his name is Zach and Nomi are starting to get closer. She asks, what's an MBA? He tells her, I got it.
Oh, yeah, no, that's when they're on the stage. He's like, I got an MBA for this.
Yeah. And she says, what's an MBA? And I have an MBA. And I was like, man, if I had $1 for every time. Is an MBA mostly worthless in the real world? Because he says that as an answer, right? He tells, it's
you had a little moment of panic.
I was like, oh shit, man! No wonder no one knows what this shit is. All right, yeah. So let's get to the gay dancers fighting with the one straight dancer.
They're teasing him. The two dancers who had been fighting are still going at it, and then
no, Zach, are you just gonna gloss over one of the greatest lines in this movie?
What?
Where the gay dancers are teasing the straight dancer. He gets angry and says, do you want a knuckle sandwich? Because he's from the 20s, apparently. Who's still talking, hey, you want a knuckle sandwich? And the gay dude says, and this is one of the greatest comebacks ever, can I have mine anally? And I was like, you know what, motherfucker? You are good in my book because that's how you talk. Guy tries to intimidate you, you tell him.
Yeah.
You show him what's what. Can I have mine anally?
So the mom dancer drops Jules on the stage.
The old marble trick.
And so the dancer is holding up the black dancer, slips on him. She comes crashing down. She's still down after the theater is empty. We find out her knee might be broken. And then I wrote, how long has she been down on the ground before she got medical attention? It had to have been like 45 minutes.
She fell during the show.
They finished the show
because they kept dancing. They didn't stop the show.
Yeah.
They kept dancing around her.
And the entire crowd is empty.
Yeah, and then it's empty, but they're all huddled around her at the same exact fucking spot.
And that's when we get a stretcher pulled up there with like medics. We find out the knee is broken. She's out 3 months, to which I wrote she's the Steph Curry of strippers.
But the important thing to realize in this is that she is the understudy.
Yeah, she's the understudy to Crystal.
To Crystal Connors. And so the understudy is basically, if you don't know, all these live shows, there's got to be someone just in case the main star is sick that day or has something to do or they can't show up. So someone's got to go and be able to know all the lines and all the dances and whatever. And so this woman is the understudy. Except Crystal Connors has never missed a day of work in 8 years.
8 years.
So she's been an understudy who's never gotten the chance to take the lead.
Never got the call. Knee's broken. We have a moment of panic from Nomi because someone says, your mother's here. Well, I hope she's not because, or from the looks of her, I hope she's not. We find out it's the heavy dancer, the heavy stripper, and she's Al Torres.
With the Fratelli, yeah.
He's like, and Al is underselling how she looks, to which the heavy dancer says, she looks better than a 10-inch dick, and you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wrote, wow, this woman's always on, huh? Like
she's always, that's why I love her, man. She's not here to be like fucking tender. But Fratelli does get tender because he looks at her and he tells her, Like, I'm proud of you. Like he legitimately is impressed by what she's made of herself after leaving the strip club. She's a legitimate dancer. She's doing it out there. She's doing her thing. And then must be weird not having anyone come on you.
To which I wrote the note, this is just a world I don't understand.
I love it. I love that line so much. You go, Fratelli. You tell her. You let her know she still ain't shit.
Cut to the last guy that did come on her. Zach gives her a ride home, except he says, where are we going? She says, how about your place? To which then I excitedly wrote the note, oh, I just remembered the pool sex scene.
Oh,
I completely forgot that this was in there.
I wrote the note, where we headed? To your place. He just came again. And then she says,
this fucking line.
Oh, this line. He's like, are you nervous? She's like, I'm not nervous. I liked it when you came. I liked your eye.
And then I said, he just came a third time.
Is that the most romantic line in this movie? I liked it when you came. I liked your eyes.
Do you guys remember jizz in your pants? Jizz in my pants. That's all I could think of. Because if he's jizzing because this woman danced on him, there's no way he's not jizzing at everyone.
No, he'd have to. Right.
It's just like, and I always, my favorite part of jizz in my pants is when the dude, the little squirrely one in Lonely Island.
Jorma.
Yeah, it's your guy from Land of the Lost.
Yeah, there you go. That's true, yeah. So he's in the checkout line at the supermarket, and the woman says paper or plastic or some shit like that. He fucking, and like his eye fucking flutters. That's what I imagine Zach doing. Zach in the movie, not you, Zach.
I mean, whatever. So they jump in the pool naked with champagne, to which then he pours the entire bottle of champagne on her. To which I wrote the note, motherfucker, I would have drank that.
Hold on. A couple of notes here. One, when they go to the backyard, he's like, hold on, hits this switch. And there are these very neon, fake plastic looking palm trees in his pool. And I said, motherfucker, you got all that money and that's how you decorate your yard?
But it's also so Vegas.
Don't worry, I mean, he's also got a dolphin fountain.
Yeah, he's got a dolphin fountain for sure.
Then when he pours the champagne, I said, great, now we got to drain the pool.
Yeah.
Not knowing what was coming next.
Right. And then I wrote, I do not understand the physics of pool sex in this situation.
I'm legit laughing at this sex scene. So I laughed so hard.
It's hilarious.
I was laughing so hard.
At first she goes underwater to blow him, but then just swims away, which I thought was hilarious. And to which I wrote, this is the best acting she's done in this movie. It really is. She pool fucks like she dances.
Yes.
And this had to have hurt his dick. There's so much violent motion, and they're in a pool. I mean, not to get too personal, but have you ever fucked in a pool or fucked in a shower or whatever?
Yeah, sex in the water is not fun because it goes against conventionalism.
It goes against conventionalism, and also the other clarification, the other note to the listeners that you wanted to make earlier when you had to mention natural lubrication in the first episode.
Yeah,
that's gone when you're in a pool.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because you would think, oh, there's water. Surely it's going to be slippery.
That's not how that works. Yeah,
somehow it gets less slippery. Like less slippery than it would if you were just dry.
Right.
Like it's got water is weird like that, man.
She is violently helicoptering on him.
Yes.
Violent.
Yeah, she brings back the helicopter move, but this time she's also dipping her head back into the dolphin fountain.
Yeah, whipping the hair through the water. I mean, it is.
And she's got the splashing going on. It's nuts.
Yeah. Almost to the point, I think she's possessed.
Dude, you know what's funny? Like, all I could think of was, if that were me, I would just kind of be like, closing my eye, like you're getting water in my face. Have you, let me ask, not to get personal, but we're going to get super personal.
Yeah.
Have you ever asked a woman to just stop?
I've faked before.
Oh yes. Oh, I had to do that.
Yeah. I've faked before because I wanted them to stop. Like, I've never asked to stop, but I have been like, well, there we go.
It was, man, I told this girl, I was just like, just stop. Just sit still. I will do all the work.
Wow.
And then she said, okay. And then we started again, and then she started again. And that's when I was like, you know what? Let me just, and off to the bathroom.
That's your best orgasm.
Oh, it was such a terrible job acting, man.
But probably not as bad as Elizabeth Berkley in this movie. All right. She's leaving now, and he says, stay, I'll drive you back in the morning. She says, it is morning, to which I wrote the note, there is clear daylight coming through that window. How much cocaine is he on?
Well, we see a huge tray of cocaine right by the bed.
He's always just has cocaine on his nightstand. That seems counterproductive.
No, that's how they do it, man. That's how they
do it?
That's how rich people do it.
It's also of note, because this is the first time that Nomi tries some. I thought this would pay off more. I thought someone would go through the dark stages of drug addiction, but not in this Las Vegas. Everybody's just stoked on the coke they're doing.
Fuck you, Maze. What is this preachy shit you want? Like, you want after school? You want Saved by the Bell? Did you want her to be?
What? Fuck me.
No.
What are you talking about? I thought it was a theme of the movie.
I mean, the Saved by the Bell tie-in's not a bad idea.
People do cocaine, and that's what they do, man. And their lives don't get ruined by it. They just have a good time.
Len Bias.
Okay. Some people's lives get ruined by it, but most of the time they don't.
We find out that Crystal needs a new understudy. It sounds like he's going to get her the job. So she gets out of the taxi van, but doesn't close the sliding door. And this is a time, where you didn't have that button on the driver's seat where the door would just close. So that means this taxi driver had to get the fuck out of his van in a trailer park and go close it. I wrote,
also,
what a dick move.
I was kind of surprised how easy it was for her to catch a cab.
Super easy, yeah. Well, I guess she called it. She must have called the cab, right?
I guess I just at that moment it made me really appreciate Uber.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, you know what, man, that's some shit, man. Like it's funny. 5 years ago, I don't even think I was using Uber.
Really?
And now it's like I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Well, no, 5 years ago was too much. Okay, 7 years ago, I wasn't using Uber.
Yeah.
Like 2012. I remember the first time I got an Uber was in 2012 in New York. And like I couldn't understand what was happening. My cousin said, we got a car coming, and we just got in a random Camry. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Like, you know this guy?
Yeah, I'm like, hey, is that your boy? Like, I just didn't understand what was happening. And then he told me what it was, and like, what? And then like all the obvious questions like that. How do you pay? I'm like, no, it's already paid. Who paid? I did. When? Like credit card. I didn't see you swipe. No, it's already in that. Like, it just all the questions came hitting me. But now I can't imagine life without it. Like, I can't imagine a life where I wouldn't even know how to get a cab at this point. Well, you usually go to a hotel. That was a go-to back in the day. You go to a hotel and they either have a cab line out front or they can call a cab.
I guess, yeah. But to your point, I wouldn't know what to do. So now this is where we find out that Crystal hasn't missed a show in 8 years, to which I wrote, wait, then what the fuck was the TV report for earlier? Was it some kind of Cal Ripken Jr. streak? Crystal says that Zach fucked her, and he's like, I don't know if you're mad that I did it or that I beat you to it.
Oh, yeah, which is a great little
That's a great little, yeah.
Like, are they competing or, I don't know. Yeah.
It's a power struggle.
It makes Gina Gershon even sexier. And I did it the idea that she wants to fuck this girl and ruin her life.
Yeah.
Oh man, like that.
I like that you phrased that in the present tense. I got real mad at you phrasing it in the past tense earlier.
I'm just saying. I feel like I've been doing sex wrong all my life.
Saying, oh yeah, no. I feel like sex with Gina Gershon, you would realize you've been doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
No matter what you think of yourself, like you would be. Yeah. No. You know what? That's how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ruin my life, baby.
Now Nomi is officially the understudy. James is doing his number at a club. And people boo him off the stage.
So they're not at a club. They're at Cheetah's.
No, I thought it was the club that he worked at the beginning.
I thought it was the original club. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
The dance club.
Oh.
Yeah, because I don't remember seeing a stripper pole.
So they fired him as bouncer, but they still let him do his little dance routine.
Which he gets
why are they doing
a
dance routine at a strip club is what I thought.
Oh, no. I thought it was the original club as well. Nomi says she loved it. Then James says that Penny dances like a truck. And then she's like, "You want a drink?" He says, "Yeah, give me a beer."
James is my new hero. Is the note that I have. Like at this point now he's like solidified himself as my favorite character in the movie.
Oh my god!
By far, he told Penny, "You dance like a truck," and then told her, "Get me a beer, bitch." Yo, man, like
sure, they're engaged. He says he stole it from his grandmother. She's like, "No, we went to a pawn shop."
Yeah. Why are they engaged?
Find out Penny's pregnant.
Yeah.
Game over.
He delivers the line, shit happens. Life sucks, which is early in the movie when he was a bellhop, like he's trying to talk to her And I'm like, hey, da-da-da. And
She's
like,
throwing one-liners.
Oh, yeah. So he says, hey, I lost my job because of you. She says, shit happens. And I was like, oh, da-da-da-da. And he's like, life sucks. And then he says to her, we get all this wisdom from him, like T-shirts or whatever. And then so at this, it comes back up, and she says, "What do you like?" She's looking at him, she's shocked.
Oh, he says, "Oh, we're gonna go work at a grocery store that her mom owns, right?"
Yeah. As she walks away angrily, he's looking at her very sadly, like, "Yo, I'm actually in love with Nomi." And I wrote the note: is he thinking right now, "Damn, I could have knocked her up"?
Yeah, but Penny's such a better option. Mother,
absolutely, and not only as a mother, but like Penny's got a family that like shit. And
but all right, I don't want to judge here. Okay, I'm not shaming sex workers, but I don't find the typical story is that the supported daughter then goes and becomes a stripper. So there's something there with that family. Right?
Maybe we need to watch Showgirls 2.
We do. Pennies from Heaven.
Yeah, we need to watch Showgirls 2 to see if this baby is canon.
That will be part 3 of this episode.
Canon.
I hope the baby's name is Canon.
Showgirls Cinematic Universe. I'm here for it.
Oh, shit. Penny's name is Penny Slot.
No. Absolutely not. No. No.
Yes!
Absolutely not.
Oh my God.
Maze, you tell me you're making that up right now. I swear I will walk off this fucking podcast.
No. Penny Slot is perfect.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
Because people put things in her.
No, I know. I get it.
And sometimes she gives things back.
Sometimes you hit the jackpot. I get it.
Yo.
I asked the question, what are the odds that Nomi was supposed to be Naomi, but then it was misspelled as a typo and they just ran with it? To which then I found the note later. The name Nomi Malone came from Joe Esterhaz's wife's nickname, Nomi, because her real name is Naomi. And then he chose Malone because he thought of Nomi as being alone in the world.
Whoa. Rewind, please. Can you explain that again?
The writer's wife is named Naomi. Her nickname is Nomi. And then the last name Malone comes from he thought of Nomi as being alone in this world. You can't spell Malone without alone.
Okay, so let me just point out one thing.
His wife.
Wait, hold on. You killed this movie for not having any truly romantic moments. Like when the guy who wrote it thinks a great gesture is to name this coked out crazy whore after his wife. Oh my God, that premiere must have been some shit way back home.
Well, Amin, we have some notes on the premiere later. I'll tell you that.
What?
All right, we got to get through this movie.
We're never going to end this podcast.
No, this is going to be a 3-part podcast. No longer the understudy because Crystal threatened legal action, so they cut Nomi from being the understudy. She never even got a chance. Now we're in a dance number that's got motorcycles that I said this feels ominous. During the dance, Crystal trips Nomi and knocks her down, then dances over her. As they run to the dressing room, Nomi pushes Crystal down the stairs.
She's got a temper, you guys.
She's real unstable. Molly knows what Nomi did, but the mom dancer backs Nomi up and says, I saw it all. She didn't do it. She was nowhere near her. To which I wrote, collusion.
Yes, that was that. By the way, you call her the mom dancer. I call her the cultural appropriation dancer.
Yeah, that's a better representation of her. When they find out what's wrong with Crystal, they go, oh, she has a concussion and a compound fracture of her hip. I feel like you got to lead with the hip.
Well, the concussion's important because she wouldn't remember that she got shot.
Oh, that's true.
You know what? I put in the notes.
That connection.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up on it because I put in the notes when everyone's trying to figure out whether she pushed her or not. I was like, why don't they just ask her when she wakes up?
So they contemplate.
Actually, no, she's not unconscious. Why don't they just ask her?
No, yeah, she was writhing in pain.
No, she's concussed. She's concussed though.
I guess
it's not amnesia.
Right? Yeah. No, I've had concussions. Like you're still. I knew who knocked me out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly who did it.
They
came from Blindside.
They contemplate shutting down the show. Then we find out that Crystal could be out for a year. They kick around the names. Well, what if we got Janet Jackson or Paula Abdul?
And I wrote
Zach, foreshadowing.
Zach, Zach, this is what I wrote, and I mean this with all honesty. This is the moment where my suspension of disbelief ended, and I said, Janet Jackson and Paula Abdul, have you lost your fucking mind?
Everything up to this point was plausible.
Everything was plausible until the fact that we're like, hey, can we get Janet Jackson in here? Like, to fucking walk around butt-ass naked? She's Janet fucking Jackson. The Velvet Rope is like a year away from coming out.
I loved how the casino owner flipped this, though, because he's way too cheap. He says there's no chance, but then he acts like he considered them to the press.
Yeah. Oh, that was definitely heady play. Heady play because they were considered. He didn't lie. They were considered, and they said, no, why? When we got Naomi Malone, who, by the way, why are her tits out for the interview? Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, yeah, I don't know because he can't show that on TV. Where are you showing that?
Yeah, that's where I started to doubt the veracity of.
Yeah, but we find out. Yeah,
Vegas TV or whatever.
Yeah, we find out. Yeah, they don't want to pay that kind of money, and they says, "What are we going to do?" And what we do what we always do in Vegas. We gamble. And the gamble is Naomi Malone has the starring role. Press after the show. And I wrote, this is really petering out. Naomi's getting a party. Oh, no. We find out Andrew Carver will be there.
I put a note here. I don't remember what happened, but I said she grabs everyone mad aggressive. You talked about James grabbing women. She does. Yeah, she does.
Well, I think she learned it from him. He's a bad influence.
There it is. All bad things that white girls learn from black dudes. You all know that. That's why I shouldn't hang out with them.
Molly refuses. You can have that one. That one's crazy. Molly refuses to go, then decides to show up to the party.
Molly refuses to go because she's upset. Yeah, she knows what happened.
Naomi lies directly to her face.
And I said, this selfish whore is what I wrote, but I don't know what that's in reference to.
I mean...
Yeah, that's Jesus. The cultural appropriation dancer wants to be the understudy. Carver shows up. He's played by William Shockley, who also played a creep in RoboCop. But this is why I mentioned this, Amin. I looked up his IMDb. You know what he was in?
What was he in?
Last Rampage.
Oh, really? Wow.
Last Rampage. For you leverage the chat diehards who know a little bit of this story. Last Rampage was one of the movies that defrauded out of another production company and completely botched by scheduling a showing of that the same night as McGregor Mayweather.
Oh, wow.
To which nobody went.
That was the movie.
That was the movie, Last Rampage. Oh, I still have a lighter.
Full circle.
Yeah. How about that?
Because she meets Carver at the party. Yeah. Introduced to Carver. She says, hey, how's it going? I like your songs. He leans in and he says, I like your ass. And I'm like, the trend of people just saying exactly what's on their mind in this movie continues.
That's how Vegas was.
So she then introduces Carver to Molly because Molly's there and like, I need you to meet my friend Molly. She's a huge fan. And Carver's very nice. Hey, you want a drink? Da, da, da. Now.
Very serious. If you have triggers to rape, sexual assault, any of that, I would fast forward like
2 minutes and 30 seconds.
So they're hitting off. He takes her up to a room.
Don't say that because at that point, we just see he comes in the room and then two dudes come in the room.
Right.
We don't know who these dudes are. And Andrew Carver is not the gentle, friendly guy that he was at the party.
They hit her. They rape her, to which I wrote, this doesn't seem necessary at all.
First of all, he punches the shit out of her.
Yeah,
like
it's crazy graphic.
Yes.
Like crazy graphic, to which there's a note where Paul Verhoeven talks about this, of the scene. He says, nearly every character in the movie is a bad person except for one girl, Molly, and she is the one who gets raped. Molly is the only really genuinely supportive person, and she is punished. The reason I did this was to show that Vegas is not a nice place, and that this is basically what the movie is all about. It is possible Showgirls was lacking in closure. Even some of my closest collaborators felt that way and have said that they thought the rape scene took the fun out of the movie. I agree with that.
I agree with both sides.
Yeah.
I agree with his vision of it, and I agree with the complete disruption of what's been happening.
Right, because that it's such a hard turn.
This is what I wrote. I said that we took this scene very differently. I wrote, Andrew Carver is into gangbangs? Like, wait, what celebrity? I don't.
It's such a leap.
Yeah, like
it's such an unnecessary leap.
He could have just raped her by himself.
Right? I don't
Why? And you know what? Since you already let the cat out of the bag, later on, Nomi like shows up to his apartment or room or suite or whatever, and we'll talk about what happens in that scene. Yeah. But when she walks in, that's when I realized those two dudes were his security people.
Right, they're his security people.
You're not even running trains with your friends. You're getting like just employees. You pay these assholes.
Right.
Hey, you want to go get some pussy forcibly? Do it on your own time. You're on the clock, asshole. And also, while we're committing this crime, who the fuck is watching the door? Who's making sure that we don't get fucked up? There were just so many things that ran through my mind in the scene. And not necessarily about how it just was very disjointed from the rest of the movie.
Right. So she stumbles out in the party. She's covered in blood. They take her to the hospital.
Shows up to the hospital. She's been raped. She's angry. She sees Zach. Says, have the police been notified? Zach says the police have not been notified.
Yeah.
Right.
She goes to call the police. He stops her.
Right.
He hauls her off into a room.
Don't do it. Polly.
How did you find out?
You were busted for disturbing the peace at the Crave Club. Police took your fingerprints.
I don't have to listen to that.
Yes, you do. Polly and Costello! Your father killed your mother, then killed himself. You ran away from a foster home in Oakland, December 1990. Arrests. Denver, soliciting. San Jose, soliciting. Cheyenne, soliciting. Shall I read you the rest of them? Out of possession of crack cocaine. Assault with a deadly weapon. Tell me something. Why did you stop hooking? You had your future pretty well mapped out for yourself.
I did what I had to do.
Just like you did with Crystal.
I'm not a whore.
No. You're not. You're gonna be a big star. Your face is gonna be up on billboards. You're gonna make a lot of money for the Stardust.
Which is interesting because Tony Moss was calling her Pollyanna.
Yeah.
Earlier in the movie.
And that's when she did a double take. She's like, what?
Yeah, she freaked out.
So many hidden clues.
A little bit.
Well, actually,
this movie,
that was actually a pretty good piece of writing right there.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, okay.
So then we find out that
Zach doesn't agree.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well, it all makes sense. She's on crack, right? That coke wasn't her first piece of blow.
Right.
But this is my favorite part. Arrested in Denver, soliciting. San Jose, soliciting. Cheyenne, soliciting. And I said, do you know how fucking hard up you have to be to go hooking in Cheyenne, Wyoming?
There's 9 people there.
Dude, like, come on, man.
Have you ever been to Cheyenne?
I haven't.
Oh, my God.
My dream. My dream to move to Cheyenne, Wyoming.
It's a ghost town.
Oh, that's better.
Like, it is a ghost town. There was actually a haunted hotel there. Stayed there once.
See, even the ghost left, though, huh?
Ghost left. Even they didn't want to be there. They're like, we're going to Oklahoma City. All right. So they're making deals to keep all this quiet. He wants to know what she charged when she was hooking.
No. She says, I am not a whore. And I said, ma'am, I beg to differ. At that point, no.
So
he says, how much did you charge? And
when you were hooking, yeah.
Yeah. She says, $50.
Sometimes 100.
Sometimes, and I wrote 50, like mad exclamation points. Like, well, she was in Cheyenne though.
She was in Cheyenne, and it was it was the mid-90s.
So then he tells her like, "Oh man, you were definitely undercharging."
Yeah,
it's like, you're amazing.
He said you have low self-esteem because she's a fantastic fuck.
Yeah, so she spits in his face, and I wrote, "How much extra for the spit?"
But then as she storms out again after spitting in his face, he goes, "I was paying you a compliment."
Yeah, it was. He was.
And then to which I wrote this note because I was like keeping track of because this movie feels long, right?
It felt like it was moving great until probably this part.
Right, but then I wrote the note. I have no idea how they're going to wrap up this movie in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm like, how does this get done?
I remember because I went to the bathroom at this point because I was like, I can't hold it. I got to go. I hit pause and it looked like there's like 4 minutes left or whatever. Yeah. It was 10. But I was like, But there's so many loose ends.
Right, so many loose ends. So she calls Andrew Carver. She goes to his suite. We find out those dudes are his security. She starts to seduce him, then pulls out a switchblade.
So many vests in this movie.
A lot of
the
vests.
security guys are wearing vests as well. And I'm not talking about bulletproof
90s.
vests. It is 90s. It is a very 90s thing.
Yeah, like a suit vest.
Yeah, suit vest, but no suit around it. It's like, if you've ever watched Ballers, and you see The Rock never is always walking around with a vest on for no reason.
Right.
That's what this movie was like.
So she pulls out the switchblade, says, "If you make a noise, I'll fucking kill you." Then she kicks him in the face a bunch of times.
Wait, what? She knows karate? Is my note.
So then,
she's doing like roundhouse kicks. She's stomping on his face.
Roundhouse kicks.
No, she's Van Damme. She's Van Damme. Like, to which then I wrote, she fights like she fucks.
Yay.
She does. She tells Molly that she kicked the shit out of him. Then she goes to Crystal's hospital room.
Like, how's that supposed to make things better?
I don't know because Molly's out. Molly's like barely conscious.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, because he walks in and the nurse, who, by the way, yes, I'll say it, the nurse might be the worst actor in the whole movie.
No, there's no chance. There's no chance.
The nurse is so bad.
The nurse is real bad. I might be with Amin on this.
The nurse.
I might be there.
The nurse was so bad. It's like you had one line and you completely
fucked it up. I mean,
because before she even says anything, she's like, "She's still knocked out. It must be the drugs." And then like, what's her name? Nomi says, "Is she okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." And like, it would have been made more sense if she comes and says, "Is she okay?" "Yeah, she just knocked out. It must be the drugs." But instead, she blurts it out before anyone
blurts it. By the way, this woman's trying to sleep.
Yeah.
He's talking so loud.
And then this bitch wakes her up anyway. Like,
wakes her up. Says, I beat the shit out of Andrew Carver.
Which, how is that supposed to make her feel better?
Right.
She's been beaten and raped. This is so. What'd you do? You call a cop? Did you like get that motherfucker? No, I just
let's get him arrested. Right? No, I just stomped his face a few times. He's okay though.
He's fine. Like
he'll be fine.
He's in much better shape than you are.
Right. All right. So then she goes to Crystal's hospital room because they're in the same hospital. They make out in her hospital bed.
Oh, Gina Gershon had the thirst of a dude for that kiss.
Oh,
man.
she did. She had the thirst of James. She had the thirst of James.
Oh, super thirsty. And that's how I knew she was a great actor. Because to be able to convey that thirst as a woman.
Let me tell you, she can.
Oh, man, it was amazing. Well done.
Yeah, she can convey me anytime.
Yeah. Okay.
So they make out, and then I wrote, "That's how they wrap this up."
I actually kind of like the way they closed out their arc because
get the fuck out of here.
Crystal says that she made a similar move to become a star.
Yeah.
Her lawyers got her a big settlement, and she gets a break from doing the job.
Get the
That's a game.
Fuck out of here.
That's the game, man. I like that Crystal is not above the game.
She's always recognized a little of herself in this young, fiery, hot-blooded protege.
And she hated, because if she hated her, think about it, Zach. If she hated her, she would have never given her the opportunity from the beginning. She
knew this was going to happen.
I mean, kind of part of her probably always knew it was going to happen. That's the game, bro. You can't. Don't be mad at the player. Like, that's the game.
I don't like the player or the game.
No, that's the game, bro. That's the game. I respected that she respected the game. You know what it's like when I'm driving on the freeway and sometimes I'm not paying attention and like you know how the whole, hey, we're getting off at this exit and it's a long line of cars and then someone zooms up and cuts right in front of me.
Yeah.
I never ever get upset.
Because you allowed them to get in, right?
No, I didn't allow them. I allowed them in the sense I wasn't paying attention.
Right.
Yeah, and so I'm always like, that's the game, man.
Yeah.
That's the game. Like, you just get fucking. Sometimes you do the fucking, and sometimes you get fucked. But that's the game. And so, I always get curious at people who get upset about shit like that. Like, you weren't paying attention.
Saying they ripped off White Men Can't Jump? Where he said, if you either smoke or you get smoked.
You get smoked.
And you got smoked.
That's the game.
Unbelievable.
That's the game. There you go.
Unbelievable. All right, last scene. She hitchhikes out of town, and the guy who picked her up the first time picks her up again, but she's kind of hiding herself because she got Gina Gershon's hat, and she's got some sunglasses on, and then he starts going through the routine again. She takes him off. She's got the knife, and she says she wants her fucking suitcase back. She threatens him.
Which is, now it's like almost a year later.
Yeah, man, it's been some time. Yeah. There's no way he still has that. And it looks like they're going to LA because there's a sign that LA is like, 280 miles.
And I wrote Showgirls 2, ? And I did not know that there was actually a Showgirls 2.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing though. That Showgirls 2 is not what they were referencing or alluding to. There's a different movie that they had in mind.
Right. Penny slots.
No, not that.
Nomi Takes Hollywood.
Nomi Takes Hollywood.
That's what I thought Showgirls 2 was going to be about.
No.
Because it's like, that's why they foreshadow with it's like the end of that Planet of the Apes movie with Tim Roth and Mark Wahlberg, where like they pull up and it's a Lincoln Memorial, but instead of Lincoln, it's like
it's the ape.
It's the evil ape from the other. Yeah, man. So I thought it was gonna be like, oh shit, the sequel going to be on fire, and then they never made the sequel because the original was so bad. Which, by the way, I'm still here for the sequel to that Planet of the Apes movie.
So Kyle MacLachlan plays Zach Carey. Denied. There were rumors that he walked out of the premiere when it happened. To which he said, "I sat there and suffered for the whole 2 hours."
Got a boy.
He said, He later recalled, "I was absolutely gobsmacked. I said, this is horrible. Horrible." And it's a very slow sinking feeling when you're watching the movie and the first scene comes out and you're like, oh, that's a really bad scene. And you say, well, that's okay. The next one will be better. And you somehow try to convince yourself that it's going to get better, and it just gets worse. And I was like, wow, that was crazy. I mean, I really didn't see that coming. So at that point, I distanced myself from the movie. Now, of course, it has a whole other life as a sort of inadvertent satire. No, satire isn't the right word, but it's inadvertently funny. So it's found its place. It provides entertainment, though not in the way I think it was originally intended. It was just maybe the wrong material with the wrong director and the wrong cast.
That's the only problem.
By the way, that's the way he described it. Like the first scene is terrible, but you say, oh, it's going to get better, and then it doesn't. That's how I felt about Hot Rod.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly how I felt about Hot Rod. I was like, oh, it'll be funny soon, and then it just never got funny.
And it's always like, that's always been my fascination with bad movies, is thinking about like, oh, this is the best that they got. What were they like? What did they think they were making?
The cutting room floor. What,
right.
What are we missing out there?
Right.
And also that also highlights the very interesting is that the actors often don't know anything outside of the scene that they do. Yeah.
What did Kyle MacLachlan think they were making?
Well, I think, did he think his scenes were fire? That's the other question.
Right. Yes.
Half his scenes are just getting freaking humped.
Half of his scenes are him just coming. That's all it is. What did he think that was happening? So here's a little trivia for you, Amin. Originally auditioned for the role of Nomi Malone.
Who?
Pam Anderson.
Oh, no.
Angelina Jolie.
Wow.
Denise Richards.
Wow.
Jenny McCarthy auditioned for the lead and was in the running until they discovered she couldn't dance, to which I wrote, what about Elizabeth Berkley? Jennifer Lopez said it was the worst audition of her career.
Okay.
It just says vying for a part in this film.
Yeah, not for Nomi, probably just for one of the dancers.
Jenny McCarthy, how bad of a dancer can she be? Like, that's the funny thing, is that if she doesn't get the lead because this bitch can't dance. Like, that's what the casting director is saying. And guys, she can't dance. Like, imagine what Jenny McCarthy dancing looks like then.
But I mean, the ultimate one who auditioned for this role, which blows my mind, more than any of those other, more than Pam Anderson, more than Angelina Jolie, more than Denise Richards, more than Jenny McCarthy.
Let me guess.
Okay.
Get two guesses?
Yeah, 2 guesses.
Was it Janet Jackson?
No.
Was it Paula Abdul?
Not Paula Abdul.
Okay. I'm out of guesses.
Charlize Theron.
Wow.
Can you imagine her in this movie?
But see, here's the funny thing. Some of those names, like Charlize Theron and Denise Richards, young enough.
Right.
And fresh-faced enough. Because it's ultimately, we look at Nomi's supposed to look like not wholesome, but like clearly not like a street savvy person. Right. Jenny McCarthy, Pam Anderson, I know they were younger at that time, but they were still so overexposed at that point.
Right.
In the sexual way.
And Pam Anderson just doesn't make sense to me. Like, and I know, well, actually, a movie we could do is Barbed Wire. That's a real experience.
Never seen that one.
Oh man, I saw that in the theater.
Wow.
Yeah, snuck in. Yeah, Pam Anderson, you're right. Like, very exposed. Jenny McCarthy, very exposed. Jolie,
and exposed,
young enough at the time to where it
specifically, but it's not just exposed specifically in a sexual way.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, where
like,
Elizabeth Berkley had never been that.
Yeah, like she's just the girl next door from Saved by the Bell.
Yes,
Angelina Jolie.
She was the nerd, the SAT person, right?
Yeah, like Angelina Jolie, Denise Richards, what was the other one? Charlize Theron. All of them at that time could convey this wholesome person is going to take her clothes off and be a slut for 2 hours. Like they could keep that up.
And of course, 2 years later, Denise Richards in Starship Troopers. There you go.
Oh, there
Paul
you go.
Verhoeven.
There you go. Must have really made an impression.
So this movie over $100 million from video rentals and sales became one of the MGM's top 20 all-time bestsellers.
Wow.
Guess how much?
This is by the way, this is the studio that gave you Wizard of Oz, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Elizabeth Berkley. Should we have him guess how much she got paid?
Yeah. How much did she get paid? I mean, she was in basically every scene, butt-ass naked.
I'm going to say, because for her, I remember people asked, why would you do this movie? Again, before the movie was known to be bad. It was just like, why would you? And it was for her.
Knowing it was going to be NC-17. Knowing what it was, yeah.
She was trying to do what a lot of actors do when they get typecast in a certain thing. They wanted people to look at her in a different light as an adult, not as a kid.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. So I'm going to say she probably convinced herself it's not for the money, it's for my career. I'm going to go $100,000.
On the money.
Wow.
Really?
On the money.
Boy, I'll
$100,000.
tell you, man. CastingCouch.com.
When a special VIP edition box set was released in 2004, she requested $2,500 to be interviewed in the movie's commentary. They declined.
Oh my God. Was she that hard times in 2004?
I don't know.
Her agent dropped her immediately after Showgirls was released.
Immediately.
So she must have fought him or her, fought the agent about being in this, because this is what I need. This is the risk I need to take. And the agent said, I read the script. You haven't read it. This shit is terrible. Yeah. I've seen lines like
only Kyle MacLachlan thinks it's good.
No, but I'm just thinking about the agent saying, oh, I think this is great. It's like, I just read the script. It has lines like, I like nice tits, and I have a problem with pussy, and
I always have. I'm always gonna.
I'm not hiring you back, not even if you give me a fucking blowjob.
You know what's funny about that too is Paul Verhoeven didn't let them ad-lib.
Oh, of course not.
He didn't let them ad-lib.
No, because he and Esterhaas researched this movie thoroughly in Vegas, interviewing up to 40 people who worked in the industry.
Interviewing
strippers, showgirls, producers, choreographers.
No.
And they took lines directly from real life.
Yeah. None of those, just strippers and showgirls.
Elizabeth Berkley said of this film, ever since those reviews for Showgirls, it was like I was that woman in the Scarlet Letter, except that instead of having to wear the letter A for adulteress, I was condemned to wear an S for showgirl. Coincidence or not, but Berkley won the Razzie Awards as Worst Actress against Demi Moore, who played that role in The Scarlet Letter in 1995. What that?
Oh, wow. The Scarlet Letter was an actual movie?
Oh, yeah. Demi Moore, adulteress, I guess.
Wow.
A source, according to IMDb, a source once told Paul Verhoeven that Steven Spielberg had requested a copy of the movie after the premiere. Reportedly, Spielberg stopped watching halfway through the movie while saying, "Sometimes I hate this town."
Aw. That's a nice way of like, hey, Mr. Spielberg, we heard you had a request of a copy. Oh, yeah, sometimes I hate this town. I don't know if you excuse me. Oh, you want to hand me that Kleenex box over there?
I only made it through half. No need to finish.
Got to the pool scene and like,
he's like, you're not. It's like, Steven, you're not gonna finish this movie. I already.
You know what? We've already kind of exposed enough about ourselves. I'm gonna give you a little bit more right here. So
oh no.
One of the things I really enjoy is when I find a piece of porn that I really enjoy, but I never get through. So it's great because it's always fresh and new.
It's always new.
And I try to incrementally get through it longer and longer. And then sometimes you get this weird thing where it's like, that's it? That's the whole thing? Like,
that's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the payoff wasn't so great. But boy, sometimes those initial scenes, whew.
Fantastic, right?
I feel you, Steven Spielberg. Same.
Gina Gershon declined to recreate the Sharon Stone leg crossing scene from Basic Instinct. These guys really had one mode. That's it. One mode.
Also, shout out to Gina for having standards.
Yeah, of course, man. She's salt of the earth. She's the gold standard.
When the film swept the 16th annual Razzie Awards, Paul Verhoeven turned up in person to accept Worst Director and Worst Picture. He was the first director to ever turn up to collect the award.
Attaboy.
1 week before the movie opened, writer Joe Esterhaus caused a small controversy during an interview where he called upon young people to use fake IDs to get access to the NC-17 movie.
Stugotz. The Stugotz is strong in you.
He took out, when it tanked its opening weekend, Esterhaus took an ad out in Variety urging, wait, hold on, it gets a lot worse. Urging female moviegoers to go see the movie, not because it was semi-pornographic, but because it highlighted the exploitations that lap dancers are subjected to. He attacked the studio for using cheap marketing tricks where they use the tagline, "Leave your inhibitions at the door," to sell the film as a cheap sex movie.
Yes.
It didn't help.
Look, I'm with you. I'm with him on that. This movie was a cautionary tale. And some people just didn't see it as such. That's why I said I think it could get made in a very Me Too sensitive way.
I do not agree. Esterhaus came up with the idea for the script on vacation in Maui based on an idea he scribbled on a napkin. He got $2 million to write the script.
Right
and
before
an additional...
I gotta get to that. You ever have that where you after you nut, you just lost all mental faculty?
Yeah, every time. What?
It was a good 15 minutes.
Fantastic 15 minutes. Oh my God.
I speak in grunts.
I just become Sling Blade.
Tater dots.
Zach, what do you want to do now? Tater dots. This motherfucker got...
We're breaking down.
We've been broken down. This guy got $2 million to write the script, an additional $1.7 million when the studio produced it into a film. Verhoeven wanted to direct a sequel called Nomi Does Hollywood.
Debbie Does Dallas.
Yeah, after it was so badly received, no one would give him the money to make a sequel.
Can we talk about Elizabeth Berkley's performance here? So she's 20 years old.
She's 20 when she made that movie?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad for her now. I thought she was 24. Damn, dude.
She's working 16 hours a day in high heels doing these dance scenes. Verhoeven is just coaching this out of her. It kind of reminds me of Hayden Christensen in Attack of the Clones and how a lot of that was just George Lucas's fault. I think she's a terrible actress, but I wonder how much of this is Verhoeven's fault.
Oh, I would say 95%. Are you kidding me? Look, she didn't act for shit in that movie, but it's
the perfect storm.
Yeah, I don't know what you're supposed to do.
Especially considering that they weren't allowed to ad-lib anything.
This is script.
What do you want? There's no saving these lines. There's no Gina Gershon is a very good actress, right? And no, she did a good job.
She's good in it. Yeah.
Yeah, she kills it.
Elizabeth Berkley is from the jump incredibly terrible in a variety of ways.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Yeah, I mean Gina Gershon is also 10 years older than her.
Yeah.
Right.
But I didn't realize she was that young when she made that movie. Yeah. That's actually really sad. Her parents, what the fuck were y'all thinking, man?
Great question. Yeah. My last note is Paul Verhoeven deferred 70% of his $6 million director's fee, depending on if the film turned a profit.
No.
Well, I'm really curious if he got it because of the video sales,
And probably not. Probably
it is also
not,
the
man.
highest grossing NC-17 film of all time.
I mean, can you name any others?
You got no competition. That's another reason to go NC-17.
It's like saying I'm the greatest Sudanese basketball expert ever. There's nobody, not a whole lot of comp, man.
That's the amount he deferred of that $6 million director's fee would be $2.8 million huge strawberry shortcakes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In 1995, though.
In 1995, right? Yeah, exactly, in Vegas. Well, guys, sadly, I mean, it's a 2-part episode. So, if you were complaining that we didn't have a Tony medley, look, Tony wasn't around for this. He wasn't doing this stuff back then. So there is no Tony medley review.
My guess is he would have loved it.
At what point do you think Tony medley comes in this movie?
Probably the volcano exploding apart and Gina Gershon rising up.
Opening scene when she pulls out the knife. Tony medley.
Amin, phobe, or file?
Dude, I say this with so much joy and pride. Mayes, you went away, but you are officially back. This is a big time file for me.
I'm back, baby.
I enjoyed watching that movie, realizing it's terrible, but there was no point where I was looking at my watch. There was no point where I'm like, oh my God, how much more longer is this? None of that. I was in this awful story from the beginning to the end.
There was some spectacularly bad stuff. There was some actually decently good stuff. It was pretty well put together. Elizabeth Berkley is hilariously terrible. It's a file for me.
Come on, Zach. We've only had 2 sweeps. Or 3, excuse me. It was
Spies Like Us, Swordfish, and Heartbreak Kid.
Let's make it 4. Let's add one to the Hall of Fame.
Well, guys, look, I have some real problems with this movie at times. There are also some scenes in which I am delighted, right? Like there are some scenes where I'm laughing so hard, or I'm dumbfounded at the writing, or I'm dumb. You know me, I enjoy bad acting. And Elizabeth Berkley is about as bad as it gets in this movie, aside from the nurse. It resonated with me as a kid, as a teenager when my friend got a copy of it on VHS.
I bet it did resonate with you.
It did. I mean, are you kidding me? I was such a Saved by the Bell nut, and then you made that connection.
Yeah.
With that said, put your fucking brooms away. This is a phobe, man. The only other time I'm gonna watch anything from this movie is when we do Cinephobe at the live show in LA in January.
Oh, can't wait.
Well,
I cannot wait.
But all right, but I guess that means I would watch this again. So you know what? I guess it's a file. It's a file on a technicality. The file on a technicality.
I mean, I was going to say, if we did a 2-hour podcast and you're a phobe after all this.
And actually, you know what?
You know what's funny?
Gina's in it. I can't go against Gina. It's a file.
When Mayes suggested it, I was like, oh, really? And I was like, all right, where is it playing? On Stars? Okay, so I guess I'll be able to watch it for free or whatever. And as I'm watching, I was like, I can't wait to record this pod, man. Like it was the opposite feeling that Dylan McDermott, or whatever the fuck his name is, felt like. And with every additional scene, I got more and more excited to talk about this movie.
Kyle MacLachlan.
Dylan McDermott actually turned down the role.
Oh, no way!
So that's a sweep. Spies Like Us, Swordfish, Heartbreak Kid.
And now Showgirls.
And this is a very Swordfish type movie.
Oh, yeah. Question, though. Do this. Little feedback from the listeners.
Yeah.
Let us know if you want movies that we all hate.
Thanks for subscribing. As you guys know, this is on a new feed. It actually really helps us early on. If you guys, even if you think you don't have a social media following worthy of it or whatever, right? You think you have 4 followers, whatever. Please retweet the episode. Because it has the new link to the new feed. We want to make sure everyone gets on that. It actually looks better if it has more retweets and all that stuff. So it sounds a little hacky to ask for retweets in that sense. But please subscribe, rate, and review the new feed on Apple Podcasts. Make sure you retweet that. Make sure you hit us up in the Discord. Send us your suggestions. Send us your thoughts on these movies. Until next time, Amin, I got a problem with pussy. I always have. I'm always gonna.
Thrust it!